We're back. It's
Yeah,
Tuesday
what's up,
morning,
guys?
8 a.m. Got our coffee. Decided we want to talk about whatever. And I guess what's the sign behind Brandon says it all. We were talking about how everybody does stuff, but they don't take credit. Well, if it's positive, they take credit for it. If it's negative, they blame somebody else.
Pretty much. I mean, that's human nature. That's what we do as human beings. Look, I even have a hard time sometimes, you know?
I mean, I guess today you blame somebody else if you can get away with it, even if you did it.
True.
If you can blame somebody else and they'll get the axe for it, go ahead. I remember when we were kids, man, if you did something bad, you just owned up to it.
You got to own up to it. Look, that's what I tell Luke all the time. I'm not saying I didn't know do that on a daily basis as a kid, but that's what I tell Luke. Look, if you did something, good or bad, and somebody confronts you with that of authority, a teacher, me, mom, whatever, you just got to be like, yeah, I did it and deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, I remember they always say that once you tell a lie, it gets deeper and deeper and deeper. You have to keep covering up
It's
your
complicated.
lies. So, if you just say, I screwed up and I did this and I'm sorry, it fades away, you
It
know?
fades away. Or if you did it, here's the thing. If you did it and you don't believe it to be a screw up, then you should have no problem saying that you did it. You know what I mean? You should. And look, I know I've been down that road, that dark path before, and I've, back in the days, where you just
We all
basically
have been.
had to lie about a lot of stuff. Um, but it doesn't end well. Never does. And you don't feel good either.
Right.
You feel awful. You
Yeah.
just live with it, you know?
And the consequences are usually a lot worse if you get caught than if you just own up at the beginning and so you get grounded for a week, fine.
Yeah.
You do
I
your
had
time.
I got a phone call several months ago from school. I was at work and I saw it pop up. Whenever you see that it's the school calling you, you panic, especially with the age that Luke's in,
Right. Yeah.
you think they're hurt or sick
Yeah,
or
they fell off of something in the
yeah,
playground.
yeah, busted every bone in their body. So it's this teacher, and I thought that was weird because usually it would be like somebody else. And so I'm like, yeah, what's going on? She's like, I'm here with Luke. He's okay. He's not hurt. And I'm like, okay, that's a positive. And then I'm like, but he wants to talk to you. And I'm like, okay. And I'm and then she was super sweet. She's like, Luke, your dad's on the phone. What do you want to talk about? And he just kind of was like, quiet. I don't want to talk. And she's like, no, it's okay, honey. You're fine. Like, but we got to talk to your dad. You said you wanted to call him and we should call him. And she was being great with him. So it was really cool to see that interaction because I don't get to
Right.
see that. And and she's like, well, he's starting to get a little upset. And she's like, do you want to just talk to him at home and you can go back to class? And he's like, yeah. And so somebody walked him back to class and she's like, hey, we had an incident where Luke punched somebody in the stomach. And I'm like, what? Like, you know, I mean, I tell him, we're very strict on like you keep your hands to yourself. You don't touch other people. Even if you're wrestling, you don't do that at school. And but I'm also like, look, if somebody punches you, you punch, you go ahead, dude. I got your back. And apparently, this is where I kind of started laughing. It was a fourth grader. And I'm like, well, why are you calling me? That kid sounds like a punk. Like you're calling me because my kindergartner son punched a fourth grader?
Yeah.
Whatever, you know? And then I go, well, why is Luke around a fourth grader in the first place? And she's like, it was one of those passing things. They were on a bathroom break. I was in the hallway. Kid came, or the Luke came out of the bathroom. Kids were at a drinking fountain, and then Luke just punched him in the stomach. And I'm like, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
Something sus about this. And she said Luke said that I guess he was a brother of one of his friends. And so I'm like, okay, well, there's that connection, you know? And I'm like, but did the kid say something? Did the kid pick on Luke? Because if he did, I don't care. Let punch him again, you know? And she's like, no. She said, I guess the kid just said, what up, little man? And I'm like, well, maybe Luke got pissed. He didn't like little man, you know? And anyway, everything's fine. But it was funny because I'm like, as a fourth grader. Yeah. And so Luke comes home and I'm like, hey, bud, you know, how was school? And I was like, what happened today? You know, like teacher called, you were going to talk to me. What happened? You're not in trouble. I told him, I'm like, I'm not
Right.
mad. I'm not going to yell, but I need, man, he came right out. Well, I punched him. And I'm like, okay, like, good on you, you know? Like you just came out. You didn't even lie. You just shot it out there, you know?
Well, he had the time on the way home to think about his story. You know,
Yeah. And he told me exactly what she said. He's like, no, I was just joking around. He just said, what's up, little man? And I just punched him in the stomach. And I'm like, okay, you can't do that. But he's like, it wasn't even a hard punch day. I was just goofing with him. I go, yeah, but your height and his stomach, buddy, he might hit something else, bud. You know?
that's what he was probably aiming for his face, but the kid was too big, so he
That's what I'm saying.
closest
You
aim could hit
know,
was the stomach.
I gotta punch him in the crotch, you know, you know, but I respected him for being like, yeah, dad. And I was like, buddy, let's not do that. I and Luke has, you know, he's trying to be one of the big boys, you know. And I
Yeah.
said, hey, let's not do that. But the thing was, he came out. Now, had he lied about it after I talked to the
Yeah,
teacher,
he could have made up a story that the other kid was bullying him, pushing him, pushed him down, and so he stood back up to hit him.
yeah. And I would
But
have investigated. But the fact that he just came out and said it, I'm like, but that's what you got to do, this blame game. And we see it in adults. God, we see it in stupid politicians
sure,
all day long. The stupid president now and the stupid president back then, they just, oh, well, you did this. And I'm like, you spent 4 years pointing the finger and have done nothing.
yeah, and if like I said earlier, if something is successful,
You take
everybody
credit.
wants to take credit for it. And
Yep.
but if it goes south, then it's always the other guy, the other party, the other group, whatever, that it was their fault for doing it. Even if somebody says, no, wait a minute, you started it. No, 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 no,
Sure.
they started it.
Right.
That discussion will go on and on and on and on until you have had enough. And you just say, from the beginning, look, I may, I don't understand. Why is it so wrong for somebody, if you do something, to say, you know what? I made a bad judgment call.
Dude,
I did something. I decided
yes.
to do this. It didn't turn out right. Boss, whatever. I'm sorry. It'll never
Right.
happen again. It was a learning experience, and all. But
I
I
had to do, I've done that at work. Look, I've
yeah,
done that at work. I mean, in the last 6 months, you know, where I've been like, look, hey, this is why I made this decision based off this data, based off my experience, based off this. It didn't pan out. I
right.
mean, you know, what are you gonna do?
But that's the point, is to say, okay, I did make this wrong call, but I learned from it, and so I will avoid making that mistake again.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I think as a boss, you say, well, great, thank you for sharing that with me, and I'm glad that we got this resolved. Let's move on. But
I agree.
instead,
I
you make a
agree.
wrong mistake and you say, wait a minute, it was so and so's fault. He was the one that told me that I should go ahead and do that. And then now the boss calls him in and he says, well, wait a minute, it wasn't me, it was him. Now you got more problems than you really wanted to create.
Yeah, and you can't do it. And look, here's the other thing. If it is somebody else's fault, okay, what role? Well, then it wouldn't even be in your conversation 9 times out of 10. So, what role did you have in it? You know, hey, and instead of saying somebody's fault, hey, they're the ones that agreed. I had somebody else that agreed to this. I was there for that conversation. Maybe I should have interjected, but you know what I mean? Like, there's a way to sit there, and also, like, can we stop throwing people under the bus? Like, stop ratting people out, you know, like, unless you're, you know, obviously a certain situation, but I mean, like, it's just ownership of everything, ownership of our words, of our responsibility as human beings, of our emotions. Like, you got to take ownership of it, and we all have those slips,
Yeah.
and it's okay because there's been times, man, I've slipped. Probably I'll slip today.
Now, the smart way to do it is rather than you making a bad decision, what you do is you sit down with about three or four other people and you say, okay, what do you think we should do? Should we do this or should we do that? So again, if it was a good decision, then all four of you, take credit for it. If it was a bad decision, instead of you saying, I screwed up, but it won't happen again,
Sure,
you say, hey, look,
sure.
it was a community a community
Yeah.
decision. So we all take the blame.
Well, and it's also like this, like, well, I'm just going to bring up Diddy, man. And the guy that is just, finally everything that he's done in his life is catching up to him. Can't wait till he just disappears. Either way, if you want me to be honest with you. But I'm never going to quit on this Diddy thing until he's gone. Like, I'm just going to tell everybody that. I'm as bad as 50 Cent on this. So, like, now the footage is released of him beat not even, and look, I'm not saying that smacking your
Bragging.
girlfriend is good, but he's beating her, ran out of the hotel room to beat the crap out of her. And he's going to come out and be like, I'm really sorry for my actions. Well, buddy,
Yeah, I had been drinking and
right. Why didn't
this
you
and
do this 6 months ago when the allegations came up and you're like, I made a bad mistake?
right.
Look, it's not to say that people would forgive him. It's not to say that, but he could have start this process over. Instead, he paid to cover it up. He came out with a deal, but the footage is out there now. And they
Right.
can't arrest him on it because of the deal that was made. But they put that footage out there so that you and I won't forget, so that we will constantly look at him and just end him. But he's blaming everybody else. My actions, my drinking, the people I was hanging around with. Dude, you were in a hotel room by yourself with her. Like, you weren't hanging around nobody, buddy. Like, you did it.
Right.
Ownership, and they're blaming everybody for everything.
I'm playing the blame game in my neighborhood.
Mm.
We went out, we bought a camera because there is a dog in our neighborhood that likes to use our front yard as a dumping ground. And so we got a camera in order to try to find it because I'm trying to find the owner of this dog to blame and haven't been successful yet.
You haven't seen it. Have you seen the dog?
I haven't seen the dog, and it's funny because Lauren said the other day to me, there's another load on the front lawn. I immediately went to the footage on my camera.
Can't find
I
it.
realized that the battery had run down on the
Oh,
camera,
Jesus. You're the worst.
and I didn't. So we're still on. That's the other part of the blame game, and that is to do your homework and try and find a way to
Yeah.
find out who the culprit is, instead of saying, "I think it's the neighbor two doors down because he's got a big dog."
Sure.
You know,
Yeah, you're analyzing the size of the dog crap. You're like, this could
that's
be
right.
a
Yeah,
medium to large size dog based on
yeah,
his stool
yeah.
sample.
This ain't no Pomeranian.
Are we sure it's not a wild dog, wild animal?
Well, if it's a
Coyote.
wild animal, then why do they keep picking my front yard to do
They're
their?
marking their territory.
I guess, or
I
they
mean,
figure,
sometimes
hey,
I pee on people's yards because I think it's mine. I don't know.
the dog probably figured, hey, look, people, that was nice. They picked up my crap, so
Yeah,
now
you know what? I'm going to go there and crap
the
again.
grass is clean again for me, so I'll just do it again.
Well, clearly, if it is somebody in the neighborhood, it's a routine walk. So
Yeah,
it's gotta be within a couple blocks.
and it's a walk off leash. So
Oh, really?
yeah, so I'm sure because you got to go 3-4 steps or so to get up to my
So
grass.
it's going up. It's
Yeah.
going. It's not just dropping it on the side. Like, here's a little
Yeah,
deuce for you.
Yeah, this dog is on his own.
Then that's what makes me. Then that's why I go back to. There's a possibility this dog's just living his best life without anybody.
Well, yeah,
Or the dog gets out of somebody's house at certain times and just doesn't wander and gets back in.
well, he's tired of crapping in his yard because it
Yeah,
smells like crap. So
probably.
I'll go out and find a neighbor that's got a nice lawn.
God, it wasn't. I don't want a dog. I got to tell you, like, I like dogs, and I know one day I'm going to get one. And there's a ginormous side, not anytime soon, but there's a ginormous side of me that's going to be like, that's my buddy, you know. And Luke's going to love it. It's great, but I got to tell you, I don't want to do it. The idea of picking up crap sucks, and everybody's like, "Oh, you got a litter box." I'm like, "That's no, that is night and day." Okay, because
Yeah.
if I'm at work all day, and mind you, I know because when I moved, Roscoe took a crap in his bed because he was pissed off on in his bed. Like, you're an idiot. Like, that's how I knew it wasn't even like mad at me. He just was pooping somewhere comfortable. I threw his bed out. I'm like, I'll get a new one. Um, but I came home and I smelled it. I was like, ugh. And I was like, bro, you got some stank. And then I looked over at his bed and I saw it tucked under the covers. And I'm like, oh. And he just was pissed off because of where the litter box was. He did not like, and he's an older cat. So he's like, you move me. This sucks. You
Yeah.
know, all I did was move
I'm
the
going to
litter
show
box.
you.
Yeah. At least he didn't poop like on the floor or in my bed or Luke's bed. He pooped in his own bed. So, but I moved the litter box and now it's the problem solved. Like, he's cool. And now that the house is settled, like, stuff is up, it's not boxes everywhere. And he's got a routine of like, oh, I'm going to go sleep in here. I got my little spot, you know. But I got to tell you, after throwing that bed away, you think I want to pick up poop?
Yeah.
God, no. But I was mad anyway. I don't know. But yes, stop blaming other people. Pick up your dog crap.
Yeah. It's we watch Judge Judy a lot, and I'll tell you, at least every other day there are two dog owners that are on the one is accusing the other one of their dog got out of the yard and came over and attacked their dog, and the defendant says, no, that dog provoked my dog.
Right.
Yeah, and it's always the one people that are suing, they got this little dog in their yard, and Judge Judy says to the defendant, "And what kind of dog do you have?" "Oh, it's a Rottweiler Pit Bull mix." You guys, oh, it's
Yeah.
maybe there's a little bit of logic that your dog got provoked or whatever.
Yeah, maybe. But I don't know. Some of those little dogs are jerks, you know. So I mean,
They are.
and then they play the innocent game, you know.
Hey, just like Luke going up against the fourth grader.
Hey, man,
You know,
look,
come on, bring it on.
there's a part of me that's like,
It's
you know what?
yeah, yeah.
Go when you're in prison, you find the biggest guy possible and you shake him, you know, like you gotta, you know. So maybe Luke was like, look, I'm about to be in first grade. I gotta let these people know.
I'm surprised Luke didn't use as his defense that he saw a wrestler
Right.
on TV that got confronted the same way, and he was just doing what the wrestler would have
My
done.
concern was he'd be like, well, my dad told me to punch somebody if they did something, you know, like,
I
blame me
mean, we
for it.
were all raised that, if somebody comes after you, just turn around and
I
put up
told
your
him flat
dukes
out.
and go after them.
I've gotten it deep with Luke. I've broken down scenarios like, look, if somebody's talking trash to you and they're making you mad, leave. Like, you don't just hit somebody. Now, if they start bullying you or they confront you or they pin you down,
Right.
like against, I said, you do what you got to do, buddy. Don't kill them, you know. I said,
Right.
but punch them, punch them in the throat.
Yeah.
I said, punch them in the nose. I said, if you hit somebody hard in the nose, 9 times out of 10, they're going to be like, oh my, like, it's the shock, you know, because
Right.
most of those people, most of those bullies, they haven't been hit. So when you hit them, they're going to feel it.
Yeah. Or the other alternative is move to a state where they don't have a gun license law.
Yeah,
Oops.
that works.
So, shouldn't have mentioned that one. Strike.
Yeah, but if you move
Strike
to a
that from,
state,
yeah, strike that from the
if
record, Your Honor.
if you move to a state where they do, Look at Chicago. I mean, I'm just saying, like, come on, man. Like, they got some pretty strict laws, and
That's
Chicago's
right.
like Baghdad right now. So,
All right. Well, listen, if you do something wrong, own up to it.
yeah,
Okay. And then come
yeah,
back next Tuesday and tell us about it.
yeah,
Or not.
or not.
Catch you later.
See
Bye.
you guys.